Russ, your host and co-founder of Eatisserie. Our guest today is Chef Denzell Washington. No, not that Denzell Washington, but an even better Denzell Washington. It's even getting pretty famous in his own right. Chef Denzell has been an executive chef for a number of years in the competitive New York City dining scene. I met Denzell over the summer at 2 events in Brooklyn at the AgTech X space, where he volunteers to cook for and spread the word about the mission of AgTech X, which is to, among other things, create sustainable food sources that are grown locally and even indoors, organically and hydroponically, with as close to zero waste as possible. So welcome, Denzell, and thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Russ. I appreciate this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So I don't really know a great deal about you. We met at that event, or a couple of those events, and you were working, so you were busy doing your thing. Chef Denzell was actually, it was a working event where he was feeding all the guests. I was one of the guests at the event, and he would talk to us for a few minutes, but this is my first time sitting down with him one-on-one, so I'll be learning right along with the rest of the group. So, so when I tried to do a little bit of research in anticipation of today's interview on the internet, I didn't find a whole lot about you. That other Washington kept popping up.
All over, yes.
Yeah. So first of all, so tell us about your background and how you got into the culinary world. And then the second part of the question is, how do you market yourself, since the internet wasn't really the place?
Okay. So a few reasons. So when I was younger, I grew up watching Food Network, and Mulagasi was like one of my biggest inspirations. He used to throw his spices, bam, he just throw all his spices. And then also growing up, I was never a fan of my mother's cooking. So watching Food Network and looking at all this amazing food, and then eating what my mother was cooking as like a 7, 8-year-old, I'm like, something's off. Something is missing from my life. And also growing up, I never wanted to be that individual where people would say, oh, what do you want to be when you get older? Astronaut, chef, an astronaut, a cop, or a doctor, a lawyer, the normal social convention things. I didn't want to not have an answer, so I used to say I wanted to be a chef. And it was not until I had my daughter at the age of 19 that I did become a chef. I just jumped into culinary school because I had to figure out a way to support my family. And in the beginning, it became me working just as a job to make a means of income and living. And by my 3rd year, I fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so here we are. And for the second part of the question, how do I market myself? I use my name. It is exactly what it is. But I make a little joke at the end. So when I introduce myself to people, sometimes I would meet somebody and they're I would be introduced by someone else. Oh, this is my friend Denzell Washington, 2 L's. That part right there with the 2 L's says a lot. So it's like my little humorous way of distinguishing myself from an actor. But aside from that, I put chef in front of my name on social media taggings, any postings and things anything on the internet related to me. I put chef in front of it so people can understand that I'm someone different, because they know that the other Denzell is not a chef, he's an actor. So that's kind of how I differentiate myself. You're not going to find much on the internet yet about me, although I am doing a lot because I'm slowly building it up. I'm not really pursuing fame, celebrity status. That's not what I want. That's not why I am developing myself as a chef. I am working more so towards socially impactful work. Yeah, it's a better way to say it. Yeah. So you might not find a lot of articles. I've done a lot. I could definitely talk about the things that I've done, but you're not going to find a lot of articles about me. I'm more of a diamond in the dirt.
Are you trying to, so actually let me back up. What are you doing right now? So I met you at that AgTech X function.
Yes.
So you were kind of catering there. I don't know what you do outside of that event. Are you a chef in a particular location, stationary during the day, or do you just catering now, or what's your role at this point?
Well, I'm branching out of working in restaurants. Essentially, I have been working in restaurants stationary for many years now. 6 years. I've been professional for 6 years. But I am the sous chef of the Museum of Food and Drink. They are located in Brooklyn. So they are a coach. They bring a cultural approach to everything food related, food, culture, history, where they go. And that's something that I've taken a deep liking to. So I spend a lot of my time there. Aside from that, if I'm not at AgTech producing events or meeting individuals, I circulate in orbit. I also work with a company called Rise. Rise is a sustainable company. They collect spent grains and turn the spent grains into flour. So after beer is made, instead of throwing the hops in the garbage, they collect them and they turn it into a flour, which is a very sustainable approach. For companies like that. I'm also involved with Seek Foods, recipe development, marketing, whatever they need essentially. And then because
What's the
I
name
am
of it? SEEK?
yes, Seek Foods. Yes, they are a cricket protein company. Very unique. Yeah.
Cricket.
So yeah, cricket. Yeah, I know. Yeah, a little bit of some bug life. Yes, yes. But with that being said, ever since I branched out of working in restaurants, and I started to focus more on my entrepreneurial path, I'm beginning to find work. People reach out to me, hey, can you do this event? Can you help cater this? I cooked at the Ginsberg Foundation 2 days ago with Carlo Hall because I met her at MoFad, and it's like one thing led into another. So right now, as a chef, I'm really working on creating my own life. That's it right there. That's something I want to inspire other people to do as well. I cannot stand working for people. I can't stand it. Like I need creative space for my imagination. My imagination has to be able to flourish. And by working with these organizations, they allow that, which is a beautiful thing.
That's what I noticed myself just going to that event. Is it seems like the culinary world is really just an extension of artistry. You know, it might as
Yes.
well be painters or sculptors or singers or actors. It's really the same type of personalities who are going into it, it seems.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
So your focus on food kind of came just because you didn't want to be the person who didn't have a career path, or is it like what
It's
made
one
it
of the reasons.
finally mushroom into something for you when you were kind of midway through culinary school? What clicked?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. It working for chefs and realizing so working for chefs and realizing that I was always trying to be the best Japanese chef, the best Italian chef, the best French chef. Going into restaurants, working for other people, and realizing that I didn't really have anything to connect with. There was nothing personal for me. I was cooking to support my daughter, but as time went on, and my skills began to develop, I began to develop personally. I began to realize that as a chef, we have access to every single person on this planet. How and why? No matter where we come from, what our skin color is, everybody has to eat every single day. Every day, a human has to eat something. I am a chef. I communicate with people by feeding them. So I decided to take this more so and take this path of like trying to figure out how can I develop my own identity. I didn't want to be like other chefs. Like I said earlier, I'm not cooking to be a celebrity. I'm not cooking for fame and glory. I don't care about that. None of that matters to me. I want to represent something. As a chef, I can do that. Food culture, food connects everybody. I became aware of that a little bit after culinary school, maybe like 2 years after I graduated culinary school. I became aware of that because I was working in a restaurant for culinary.
So what is it that you want to represent?
I'm trying to figure that out now. I am on that path. That's the best way to say it. I'm on that path of trying to figure. But so far, by being entrepreneurial, it has led me to meet amazing people. I met you and your brother, you know, and I've met other people who I never thought I would cross paths with. So it's really hard to say right now. I've been cooking professionally for 6 years. Within the next 4 years, I might have my answer. It might take me 20 years to find that purpose. But I do know that because that is what I think about, that is what's happening. So time will tell.
Okay, it's a good answer. So you actually went to culinary. You went from high school to culinary school.
I went from high school, a brief hiatus of working in a restaurant. I not even in a restaurant. I was at Nathan's Hot Dog.
Okay.
I upstate New York. You know, it was like it's like food service essentially. That's where it started. And then I went to culinary school. So I graduated at high school at 18, and when I turned 19 the next year, I go to Aspire. And that's when I jumped into culinary school because the first thing in my mind was like, what am I going to do to make money for us? Like, how am I going to support this child? Be a chef. You know, I've been talking about it all my life. I guess I should give it a try. And that's what happened.
So I mean, that's a great lesson to anyone who thinks, oh, my first job is at McDonald's or at Nathan's. You know, what am I going to do with this? And the answer is, you really can do something pretty special with that.
Yeah, I just took it to the next level. I began to focus more on personal development. I and control my social orbit. And if I really wanted to be a chef, I needed to surround myself with those who are chefs. And I am people who just claim the title, but who live it, who excel at it, and pay attention to how they operate, how they maneuver, to see if that's something I would want to influence me.
Now, something you said is kind of interesting to me from my standpoint, is that you went to culinary school to pay the bills, in effect.
Yes.
From what I understand, culinary school can be very expensive.
Yeah.
Were you on a scholarship, or did you get something where to me it would be a net outflow as opposed to an inflow?
Right. Okay. So the best way to appropriate that, so to explain, so I didn't really have any skill sets when my daughter was born. I needed to put in a direction. I didn't think that money would come immediately, but I needed to start building my life towards something so I could get that money to come in. And while I was working at Nathan's Hot Dog before I went to culinary school. So I already had like a sense of like working in a food establishment. So with that being said, I continued to go to school and continued to work at Nathan's Hot Dog. But I also transitioned from that, coming from upstate New York back to New York City, to working in local restaurants inside the city, Harlem, where I'm from, born and raised. So it was a way for me to start building my life in that environment constantly, working there professionally and then going there academically. Yes, I went to a trade school. So I say culinary school. It is a school, but I went for a specific trade.
Okay, you went for a culinary degree at a trade school, so
yes,
it's not as costly.
Yes, not as costly. That's very important.
Great to know, because a lot of people are thinking that they're going to be priced right out of that track, and it may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
If you can get a scholarship, I hope so.
So, but you did have to pay out of pocket, right? You didn't get a scholarship. Okay.
No scholarship. I got out of pocket. I received 2 grants, but it still was not enough to cover the entire fee of my school bill.
Okay. No, this is all helpful to anyone who might be in a certain similar situation. So it's good to hear the story.
Yeah, I guess the moral of it is like, if you want something, you go after it. Like, I didn't care how much it cost. I needed to pursue this. I needed that. I didn't let a dollar sign come between me and finding out the next level of myself. So I just jumped into it, and 6 years later, it has. I'm not what most people would think. Like, I have like a famous name. I must be a celebrity. No, but I've done amazing things. I have impacted people. I've connected with individuals, and as you know, by coming to AgTech X, it's like I pursued my dream for only 6 years, and now like I'm the chef in residence for this place, and I get to connect with so many people who are inspiring me to do better.
Now, I wanted to ask you too, I'm going to jump around a little from what I had prepared.
Oh, that's fine.
Because the conversation's just interesting. So I don't even understand that relationship. Is that a volunteer relationship that you do with AgTech? Like, or is it a paid position, or do you do it just for networking yourself? Like, what does that do for you, that whole connection, and how did that come about?
So to answer that question right there, I met Ricky Steffens at a Kickstarter event that was being hosted by Food Tech Connect, 2 other organizations. Well, another Food Tech Connect being more so an organization that I am involved with. And I met Ricky Steffens there. I stood up at the end of the event in front of like 200 people. And out of like 200 people, he was the only person to approach me with a business card. He's like, I think I have something for you. And a couple weeks later, we scheduled an interview. We met up, we talked, and we was like, we're going to bring you on for like, I was only supposed to have a 2-month trial at AgTech X. It was only supposed to be for like 2 months, see how it works out, and then we go from there. That was like 8 months ago. So I've been there for quite some time. Now, to answer the other part of your question is, networking at AgTech X is like, I don't know, like they're a family to me. Like, it's become more than what I had initially signed. It's not just I do volunteer my time whenever we do major gigs. Like, we've done catering events out of that space before, and I have been paid for it because of my labor, making the food, creating a menu, this sort. But it's not just about financial gain. Like, they have helped me connect with other individuals, and because I wanted to fall into a sustainable route, that's my platform. That's my world right there to learn and grow in. They're all about sustainability. So not everything I've learned can always be about money. I have found things that are more substantial than just a dollar sign. The relationship that I have between Ricky Steffens, the co-founder, money is not coming between us. Very simple. He has exposed me to a lot. He has taught me a lot. And still, I look up to him as a mentor, as a brother as well. He's a really cool dude, you know. So I'm just falling in love with the space itself, like agritecture as well. Their assistant company, AgTech X, everything within that space. Yeah, I find it all more valuable than money.
Yeah, I mean, I think I went twice, and each time I went there's an amazing energy to that place.
Always.
Anyone you talk to, it doesn't matter who. You could just close your eyes and just talk to somebody, and it'll be an interesting story.
Yeah, basically.
It could be somebody brand new in the industry. It could be somebody very seasoned who's maybe at the forefront of something that you never heard of, but you just kind of know the movement is happening. It really
yes.
place. So that's interesting. So you're doing it more for the exposure and just for the just the connections, right? More so than the dollar signs or the pay or whatever it might be.
Money follows a passion. I'm doing it because it's now becoming a new passion of mine to understand agriculture, to understand biomimicry, green infrastructure, sustainability, sustainable foodways, mitigating food waste. The things that they talk about in there I'm realizing that for me as a chef, I am a culinary perspective. Food waste, I'm a chef. Why does that, it'd be really hard for me to think that would not fall into alignment with my culinary path, my craft, food. You know, that's my medium. That's my area of expertise. The things that they focus on in a more, and I would say academic, but from a different approach that's not culinary based. So the way for us to work cohesively, a very deep camaraderie within that space. Yes.
So was this whole sustainable? Like did I give a good definition of what AgTech X does for people who've never heard of it at the outset, or is there more to what they do? You know,
there's a lot. No, what you said was fine, but there's a lot more to what they do. Like there is a lot. Consulting is one of them as well. Like if you have a general interest, anyone watching this video, if you have an interest in understanding agriculture, understanding our food system, understanding the injustice that we have in our food society, you know, and just how New York City greenery, like green infrastructure matters and what's lacking in the city. This is a place where you can go and learn about ways to improve life, where the issues lie, where the issues may lie, and speak to experts in the field of agriculture, which covers a broad range of so many things. Like it's deep. What you said was fine, but
I had a feeling it was deficient. That's why I'm asking you for a further explanation.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely okay. I'm trying to put it into words because they represent so much. Yes, they have a mission statement, but they represent so much. And it's very deep. And I'm learning that as I've been there for 8 months now. Out of signing a 2-month contract for a trail, I've been there for 8 months because I don't plan to leave.
Was that a passion of yours before you started with them, or did you develop it just by working with them?
As I work with them, yeah. I didn't know what I was getting into when I first met Ricky. I did my research on the website and everything. I did my research on who they are, what they've done previously, and being around them has led me to not want to ever leave.
So the impression I got was the event that I went to twice was a once a month, you know, Friday evening event.
Open house, yes. We have an open house once a month. Yes. Right.
So are you there? I was under the impression that you're just kind of a guest chef at those once a month events. Is that not true? Are you there throughout the week?
I'm there quite often. Yeah, I'm there a lot more than just once a month. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm there quite often.
I have no idea how the whole relationship was or worked or anything.
No. So I offer my time, and when I offer my time for these events, that's an opportunity for me to be creative, to be in creative control of the food. And I'm not trying to just feed people. I'm trying to give a good experience. I get it, you know. I'm trying to connect with people. I want to help create a deeper, tangible experience around what AgTech X offers.
Okay. So I mean, for that event, you focus on this clean kind of cooking and the sustainability. Is that the type of thing? I mean, do you do all kinds of cooking in your other part of your life, or is that really kind of what you kind of bring to the table as your brand of being, you know, organic and sustainable and hydroponic or whatever may be available?
No, absolutely. That's definitely something that I am incorporating more as my my marketing aesthetic. Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, I'm glad you asked that question. Yes, it is. But when it comes to MoFad, the other institution that I'm involved with, the Museum of Food and Drink, that is more of a historical approach. So even though we have food there, I can automatically apply my methods of mitigating food waste, food preserving, composting. You all compost. You should be composting. I can apply that wherever I go. But when I go to the Museum of Food and Drink, these are more historically appropriated meals. So it covers many different cuisines. It's always changing. So I'm cooking various types of food all the time. But if I had to focus on something that's different, I have my own style that I prefer.
So is that one? I don't know if you're aware. There's a show on PBS called A Taste of History.
Okay.
And it's somebody who focuses every episode. I can't say every episode, but a lot of the episodes are on Revolutionary War era America.
Okay.
He does go to the islands sometimes because again that influenced this country as well. But mostly it's about the cooking styles of George Washington or our founding fathers. Is that kind of what MoFad does as well? Just when you said it's from a historical sense, is that what you're talking about? That they preserve cooking techniques that may be in danger of being lost?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
They don't, not in that sense. They could if they wanted to, essentially, but it's more so of an educated perspective. So the chef there, John Hutt, amazing person, also one of my mentors as well. He's deeply fascinated with the science and history of food. So with that being said, it can cover a range of topics. We could cover food from like India. An event that he's actually doing tonight as we speak at MoFad is a 10-course tasting menu where he is covering the Silk Road, which transitions a vast amount of countries, just incorporating their history, things of that time. History is deep, and that's not exactly what they focus on, but they always come with the approach of educating people on the history of food, indigenous ingredients, the people, the culture, and things like that, rather than just giving you wine and something to eat.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So just tell me about what your day would be like there. Like I can describe for somebody what it was like at the AgTech event. It was a networking event. It was an open house. You were busy, preparing food. And at certain points you were even, styling it, to the point where it was beautiful for photographing. But you were just kind of chatting while you were working, and everyone else was just kind of chatting and mingling and everything. And that was kind of what the environment was where I met you. Is that the same as the type of events that they run at MoFad, or is it more stationary and sedentary, or how does an event look there, or how is your work environment there?
The work environment is very comfortable. They have a culinary studio. It is a museum, so there is an exhibit that you can walk around and experience. Not only that, with that being said, our events can range from being a simple Q&A, or it can range to being a sit-down dinner. And these sit-down dinners are very unique because we have people who are proficient in wine within the facility, who can pair wine with the food. Food and wine go together no matter what. They will always go together without a doubt. But they again, like, it's not about feeding people. They're not about just like, you're going to pay me for this dish and then we're going to give you food and that's it. No, more so about impacting people, educating, exposing history that may have been lost or isn't really known to many people. There could be one person from like the Indian culture, at a table of like 25 people, and he may be the only person that knows, but after the dinner experience, not everybody is abreast of a specific culture of that food. So it varies. Like it's a very unique. They've done multiple events in there, and they always change, which is good because they have a foundation. So my words are not to say that they're all over the place. They're very professional and they're very on top of what they do. But they offer multiple experiences, which is unique, which is a way to captivate and connect with people in various ways. So the experience there never gets old. It's always something new. It's always changing. Plus it's history. There's always something to learn. It's always mentally stimulating. If you can connect to somebody mentally, and you feed them the tangible experience, is like it accentuates that much more. It's that much more elevated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you cook, using cricket or using the rye flour with the spent grain. Are you the one developing? You can't just use your typical recipe that you might normally use for bread using that. I mean, are you the one developing the recipes to make it taste palatable? Because it's got a specific flavor that, some people will like and some people won't. But I guess your goal as a chef is to make it as palatable as possible.
Absolutely, yes.
So is a lot of it just like a food lab and a tasting lab to some degree?
For unique products like Seek Foods and Rise products, a lot of research and development. I am not in this on my own. There are other chefs out there in the world. There are not many of us, but there are other chefs out there who are working on assisting with creating, exposing recipes and methods for utilizing these special products. I work very closely with a pastry chef. Her name is Anna J. Fitting. She has her own catering brand called Alamanwi, and she's amazing. She's really good at what she does. She's way more proficient at utilizing rye flour. She's a pastry chef. So yeah, she's way more proficient, but we work closely together. We develop recipes. We talk about it. We taste each other's products. This is good. That's not good. No one should ever know about this, or the world needs to know about this. It can go either way. Trial and error is how we learn, right?
Exactly. That's one of those things. America's Test Kitchen on TV, on PBS.
Yeah.
They test out 60 or 80 different variations on the same dish, which is the only way to really get it down to the nitty gritty of what tastes the best.
It's the only way to know.
Yeah.
Failure it's not really failing. It's a lesson. No one fails. You fail if you give up and you never pursue it. It's all about learning and moving on. True. and not repeating those mistakes.
But I guess there's a scientific way of just recording what you've tried already, so
of course. Write everything down. You have to weigh everything down to the gram, the smallest measurement. You have to know every single thing that's going on. Temperature, chemicals, involve elements like if it's acidic, subacidic, no acid at all. Rye's product does not have a gluten matrix because it's a double cooked flour, or it's a cooked product essentially. So with that being said, let's say we wanted to make a simple baguette, very simple, like some country bread, very simple, using flour, yeast, and a little bit of sugar and salt with water. Because the rye's flour does not have a gluten matrix, if your recipe called for using 1 cup of flour, you would have to split that. So it would be half a cup of flour, AP, or purpose bread flour, whatever, to half a cup of the rye's product, or vice versa, with a ratio of using the Seek products, the cricket protein powder, to be incorporated into that. So it's all about just like documenting the minutia. Everything matters when it comes to food. Everything matters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you say that you do these catered events, are you somebody who somebody could just call up and hire for an event, or you just do specific? You just work with those you have specific relationships with, or how does that work? Because it doesn't seem like I said, you have no online presence really other than the Instagram.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you're trying to solicit that type of a business, but tell me if I'm wrong.
No, it's fine. Absolutely no. You're absolutely correct. So I am part of a culinary collective called Feed Forward. And if somebody wanted a catering event, I've catered many times before. I have no problem doing it. I am working on creating my own life, which allows me to do whatever I want around food. So if somebody wants a catering service, we can do that. If it's a small catering event, let's say they want to cook maybe like 12 people, I like small and intimate gatherings, because then you can really connect with every single person at that table. Or if it's larger, essentially we can do that as well. I have a culinary collective called Feed Forward, and we can do up to like 400 or 500 people, essentially for catering. So it really all varies.
Feed Forward, FEED?
Feed Forward, yes.
Feed Forward, okay.
Yes.
But that's not actually your core business. You do that more, if somebody needs that would be something that they could, that you could accommodate, but it's not something.
Yes, sir.
Where do you see your business going, or where do you want it to go in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years? And how do you get it there?
I would like for it to represent something as far as like exposing social injustice through the food system. I definitely wanted to focus more on sustainability. I wanted to represent a marker in the sustainable field. When people think about sustainable food waste, I want them to think about AgTech X and Feed Forward. When they think of like really food that has been historically appropriated them to think of us, because I'm learning that from MoFad. So that's something I'm definitely inspired by. On a side note, because of the Museum of Food and Drink, I do love now to incorporate history into my dishes. The way it inspires you completely different to see how things have been done before. Because nothing's really original, it's all innovative. Mm-hmm. Many things are just being repeated and just like translated through multiple personalities. I want us to have a strong online presence. You know, it's not just about you have to be a business, thrive and survive, but I want people to think about us when they want a unique experience. I want them to think about a brand that represents more than just making money. You know, we cater to hospitality, we cater to whatever your needs are. You want a unique experience, we will bring you that experience. We can also educate on certain things as well, whatever that may be, what have you. You know, so it's a couple of years from now, I would like for the brand to represent a sustainable food waste, something that restaurants should aspire to, essentially, because there's a lot of food waste inside of restaurants. We're not a brick and mortar location, feed forward, but I do want us to stand for something.
So it sounds like you're combining almost education with food as opposed to like developing your own line of products to make a profit.
Yes. Yeah. There are already enough food products out there. That's not the most important thing. I can do that later, but education, yes. And then I also work with, again, companies like Seek Food and Rise. So they are already food development products. So it really, I'm doing a little bit of everything, you know, and most people will say, oh, well, you're spreading yourself too thin, yada, 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 which is not really true. When we were in school, we had like what, first to eighth period minus lunch. So essentially we're going to school for like 7 different topics that we're going to be tested on at the end of the year. So why is it now that as an adult, I'm out in the world, why can I not do that under the context of being a chef? Still do the exact same, be involved in multiple projects, still building my life, because they all represent something.
I agree with you. I always say to people, we weren't built to do one thing all day for 40 years. If you watch your daughter's how old now?
Soraya is 6 years old.
6 years old. If you were to watch her on a non-school day, I'll bet you she's doing 11 things before breakfast. 11 different things before breakfast. Yeah. That's just what engages her at the time.
Yeah. And there's no, like, people, it's funny, we're saying that we got off topic, but it's fine. But like, I used to move around a lot, you know, and people used to also like always question me, oh, you must be like ADHD, something is wrong with you, yada, yada, yada. But then I realized that those are the people who just want to work in an office and sit down all day, type papers up, 9 to 5, 401k plan. Don't get me wrong. That type of life has created a lot of stability and supported many families, but that's not for me. I have too much energy, too much creativity. Like I really see myself creating my own life. So I'm always involved in something, always moving around. There's always something to learn. Every new thing you become involved with, you learn, and it stays with you forever. And I involve myself in all these projects to eventually bring them all into one. It may take 10 years from now before, like as you asked me earlier, you know, like what my goal is, my purpose. It may take me a full 10 years to really figure that out, but I know for a fact that I will be able to pull inspiration from every single project I've been involved with, every single organization that I have been involved with, because they all stand for something, they all represent something. So it'll allow me to really find a sense of who I want to be, because I've been exposed so much. I've been involved with so much.
So you seem to be one of those people who is more concerned about the richness of the experience rather than the profit and loss.
Money follows no matter what. Like I don't go places asking how much you're going to pay me before I get involved with that. I don't do that, and it's by choice. It's not that I don't understand my value or my worth, but I put myself involved. I put myself in a position because I plan to have that connection for life. That could be a recommendation that can land me like my dream job. You know, that could be a recommendation that would take me to the next level. If money is involved, I would know about it. If my services are needed, that's a little bit different. I will be paid for it, but I don't go places just seeking money. I follow whatever the passion is.
If you saw an opportunity that you thought was a really interesting opportunity and you knew they could pay you more than they were offering you, would you still take it, or would you would there be an issue of personal pride at that point if you knew other chefs were making more than they were offering you, for instance?
That's an interesting question. I guess I would be more situational. It would depend. It would really vary on what I have going on at that moment. Obviously, I have to have a source of income coming from somewhere, and it really all matters if not only can I make more, can I learn more as well. If I just left one job, let's say I left one job, I'm making like 40,000 a year to leave another job that's going to give me 60,000 a year. Just because I'm making like 20,000 more a year does not necessarily mean it's going to be more beneficial for me.
Right.
Because now I may be paid more, but now I have less creative control. I'm probably like, and then like that company may just want me to be a drone, follow their guidelines, have no input, no say so, because even though I may know that something is wrong, I can identify like all like the cracks within their industry, but it's not, I can't, essentially I am that kind of person. Even though I do have a daughter, I'm not pursuing money. That is not my goal. Because if I begin to pursue money, that's all I am going to pursue. Mm-hmm. I am pursuing,
multiple times.
yeah, it's real. Like it's just how I am. Like I don't know. I grew up that way too. It's funny because like for me, like as a young man growing up in Harlem as a minority, I grew up very poor. I didn't grow up with a lot of money. And now I'm older as an adult and I'm not pursuing money. But I realize that money just comes to me. Like I out there to increase my skills. I constantly learn and improve myself as a chef, as a person. My interpersonal relationships are fabulous, I would say. My sense of integrity that I show people who I am as a person. People want to pay more for that than a guy who just has better skills, because they can connect with me, they can build with me, rather than knowing that we'll pay him this one time and after that we'll never see him again. Not many people that I've been around really want that. They want somebody who stands for something, or at least in my social orbit, because that's what I've been looking for. It is situational for everybody. If money is your thing, go out there and make that money. But for me, I'm trying to represent something, but at the same time, money still finds me without me looking for it. So that says something as well.
Well, that creates a lot of goodwill where people are actually pulling for you.
Yes, a lot of trust. People have a lot of confidence and a respect for you as well, and they'll talk about you. Yeah, there are more things that I'm trying to teach people are more. I guess I also want to represent that money serves a purpose. Money is not really that important. No. I'm not talking to you right now because you're paying me. I'm talking to you right now because I want to give you the content that can inspire other people. I believe in what you and your brother are doing, and these things matter a lot more than money. Money is just meant to pay bills. Money is not buying happiness. Money is not buying relationships. Money just serves a purpose. It is a tool. Like I'm on my iPhone, you're on your laptop, me, you can communicate. These are tools. Money is not a driving factor for me.
And just to show the commitment for anyone watching this, again, we don't know when you'll be seeing this, but we're recording this on what's today, November 17th, 2018.
Yeah.
Which is a Saturday night at 9 p.m. So
this is 9 p.m. already? Really?
Denzell is putting his money where his mouth is.
Hey, yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, absolutely. On a Saturday night, most people are probably out there like sleep, like having fun, partying, whatever, even though it's like almost winter time. No, yeah, absolutely. Always finding a way to improve and work on something like this. This is good for me, because as you're asking me these questions, you are reminding me about certain aspects of myself. I'm a transparent person. We can't delete this. This is going to be out there one day for people to watch. There's no telling who is going to see this video. But I know for one thing for sure is that I do not regret one thing that I have said on this video. I hope that this video can inspire somebody. If it reaches one person, it's like, damn, I want to do that too. Now, you don't have to be a chef, but I want to make my own life. How did I make my own life, by the way? Because we didn't get to talk about that. I took a leap of faith. After working in restaurants, which is a path of certainty, because I know where the money is coming from, I don't have to think that hard because I'm working for somebody else. There's somebody above me who's telling me what to do all the time. I just took a leap of faith. I stepped out of there and I put myself in a position where my skill sets have to speak for themselves.
What are some of the things that you see other people doing right now that impress you? Either food trends or just ideas or creativity or things that you think, that's gonna catch on. Anything that strikes you, or is that? Not so much.
sustainability. The ongoing topic of food waste within our society, which is a big issue. Chefs that are focusing more on mitigating food waste. There is a movement called No Kid Hungry, which I love. I follow them on Instagram, and I love everything they're doing. I have a daughter. I love it. Food deserts. I follow another group called Chefs in Africa, which highlights all the chefs out there in Africa who have amazing skill and are creating amazing dishes in various regions of Africa. And I'm looking forward to that. So if you go on the Michelin Guide website, Africa is the only continent that does not pop up, which is, it blows my mind. Not going to get into that, not for your video content. That's an interview for another day. But Africa does not show up on the Michelin Guide website,
Really?
which is ridiculous. Yes. Like, there are not chefs out there creating gourmet, exquisite food, upscale food, fine dining, whatever fancy words you want to use, whatever esoteric term you want to use. They don't show up on the website. But if you Google chefs in Africa, if you Google actually chefs in Africa, you will begin to see multiple chefs, their restaurants, and all the things that they represent. And it's just it's crazy, but that's something different. So I'm hoping that that entity right there, the entire content, I'm hoping that they get the exposure and the credit that they deserve for being food pioneers.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. That's great to know.
Yeah.
It's sad to hear, but it's important to
yeah.
Out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh. So what are some of the things that you're either proudest of that you've done, or things that you think were the worst mistakes that you've made so far that you wish you hadn't done, or that you would coach somebody else who is following in your path to avoid?
I'm going to start with things that I am not proud of first. I'm going to go with that one first, because
we're always very self-critical.
Have to be. Absolutely. All of my career, almost everything I do every day, believe it or not, even though I'm very confident in how I'm speaking to you right now, every time I go into an event, a majority of the time, I doubt myself that I am able to create or produce a certain kind of way, which is a challenge for me, essentially, because you can either go around an obstacle or you can go through it. So my self-doubt is something that I face all the time. And the more that I face my self-doubt, the stronger I become in my confidence to achieve something. So I've had many opportunities to do things, and I felt like I was in a floor and I passed it up. Or I would be sent an email or a text saying, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And I would wait 2-3 weeks before I responded to it. And by the time I got the chance to respond to it, the opportunity was no longer there. There's no telling. It may have been a one-off. It may have been a once in a lifetime thing, but I would never know because I hesitated to jump on that opportunity. Hence, which leads me back to connecting to my other point of why I am involved in so many things. Every time somebody reaches out to me to do something, I jump on it. It doesn't matter if it lasts or not. I just jump on it because there's no telling who I'm going to meet or who I'm going to be exposed to, what I am going to be exposed to, what I can learn and take away from that. So I guess to round that part up right there is for anybody watching this video, I don't say no to an opportunity. Even if I have something going on, you may have a full job, you may have a full-time job, but if you go on your calendar and you look at that month, you are going to see days that you are available. And if you can make time for that opportunity, you jump on that opportunity. Again, it may not last forever, but there's no telling what you are going to get from it. Not having the confidence to speak up, having the confidence to stand up for myself. I've worked in restaurants and I have been bullied. I have faced mild racism because I'm a Black man in certain restaurants where people who are not Black have talked to me a different kind of way. I have experienced making a mistake in a restaurant. The person next to me made the exact same mistake. And because I was Black, it's obvious. I'm not making this up. The way that they were talked to is a lot different than the way I was approached. It says a lot. And I've stood up for myself too. It's also led me to understand that in the industry of chefs, there are some great people out there, but that has led me to understand as well that no one is infallible. We are all human. Doesn't matter if you want respect, you give respect. I don't care who you are. It is very simple. Like, you don't talk to anyone else like they're less than you because you have a title inside of a building. That means nothing, because that means that when you're outside and you're not in that building, what are you? What do you have to cling on to? You're not going to talk to me like that outside in the street. And it's not about being violent or bravado or anything like that. But it's really like you stand up for yourself and you don't let anyone talk down to you. You don't let anyone put you down because they're going to make a mistake like you made a mistake. The only way someone got ahead of you was by making 1,000 mistakes before you did. So I would say that for anyone watching this video, you stand up for yourself, and violence is the lowest form of communication. It's not about being violent, but you don't let anybody talk shit to you because they think they're better. I don't tolerate bullying in a sense like that. So I will end it at that right there. That has been also one of my greatest accomplishments as being a chef, is to find that infinite confidence in myself. I know for a fact, I know I said a little confidence earlier, but that's for me performing. But as far as interacting with individuals, I can be in front of anybody. If you give respect, I will respect you. I don't let your title or your accolades defer me or change my perspective of you, because we're all human at the end of the day. And that is very simple. Some of my greatest accomplishments, finding AgTech X, I would say that as well.
I'd like to give them a lot of plugs because I think they do great work, and
yeah.
I like people to know about them if they haven't heard about them.
Yeah, AgTech X. They can be found in Bushwick, amazing company. Their sister company as well, AgTech, one of the world's leading consulting companies for urban agriculture, green infrastructure. Fabulous.
You're what, 40 Bushwick Avenue, right? 40 Bushwick?
40 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11211.
They were very generous with us, letting us use their space for a couple of interviews.
Yeah,
so we're
absolutely right. And like just going inside the like the environment, like their green infrastructure, like they have purple lights on all the time, and it just does something. That color palette, to see people literally standing in a different light, it creates this vibe, this environment that like I am always intoxicated with. I love being inside that space.
Well, for those of you who've never seen it, it's a converted garage, like it's a two stall garage, and it's got these, like Denzell just said, purple lights. So anyone walking around on Bushwick Avenue is drawn to it automatically, because from the street you could see it, and people are pressing their nose up against the glass, just wondering
every day. Every day. Yes,
and what it is, they're growing vegetation indoors. What they're trying to do is solve the problem of seasonality and long transportation costs for getting food from the farms to the city. And they're trying to grow it in the cities as much as possible, as much as is economically feasible, to reduce the seasonality of it, and to reduce like I said, to increase the freshness and reduce the long 2-week turnaround time from picking to the time it appears on your Whole Foods shelves. It's already 2 weeks old, so it's a way of bringing food to the cities and the inner cities that might not otherwise have been able to get this fresh produce. And we hope they find something that makes it economically feasible to keep doing it in these indoor farms.
Yeah.
So you've been really generous with your time, Denzell. I really appreciate this.
Of course.
For anyone who wants to contact you, either for catering or for any other reason, how should they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram. My name is Chef Denzell Washington, 2 L's, no space. So all one word, Chef Denzell Washington. If you are looking for a catering gig or for a food experience, you can contact me at feedforward, FEED, the word forward, @gmail.com, all one word. Or if you want to contact me personally, you can contact me at DWPROLOG 93 @gmail.com. So that's DWProlog93 @gmail.com. Or you can come to AgTech X, 40 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, zip code 11211, and you can ask about me there. At the same time of being exposed to AgTech X and agritexture.
Right. So they have a website, right? AgTech X.
Yes.
So if you look on, do you know what it is?
AgTechX.com.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
So
Oh, but
yes,
AgTech dash X. Like there's a dash in between tech and X.
okay. So if anyone is interested, they probably will post their next meetings, or you could join the mailing list so you get invited to the
Yes.
monthly meeting,
Yes.
the open house.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You can meet Denzell live and in person there as well.
I'm a cool dude. I like to talk and feed people.
That's great.
Yes.
Anything else you want to share before we sign off?
Yeah, I think that some final words are: ideas do not come to us for a reason. If you are sitting in front of, like, you are a prime example. You know, like you had this idea, you and your brother had this idea to start Eatisserie. It was an idea that you had, and now you're manifesting it by allowing me, you know, as like one of your first interview subjects of entrepreneurs. You know, getting to is that for anybody watching this video, does not matter where you are, what your resources are, what you think you have. You don't have to have I started this broke. Like, I have a daughter. I'm a single father raising my daughter. I don't have all the money in the world, but I definitely just jumped into being an entrepreneur. And some of the experiences I have had within the last year and a half alone have been so much more substantial than being paid. The connections, the people I've met, the people I know for a fact I have made happy, and who in turn have given me back that energy. If you have an idea, you go after it, because that idea may last for only 6 months after you've executed it, and it's going to be on to the next thing. But we don't know how far we can go. So we are our own obstacles. So I would definitely say, if you want to achieve something, you go after it. You don't know what to do, that's a beautiful thing, because at least you're thinking about it. So now you can start learning, because you know that you are naive, and that social orbit is important. Surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, so you can learn from them. Stay humble. That is the number one thing I really been, especially in restaurants. Stay humble. No one is less than you. You're not better than anybody else. You may have better skill sets, but once you begin to think down upon somebody else, you will automatically be like the bottom of the barrel, because you think you're above somebody else. That is not the case in this world. So yeah, stay humble and go after your dream.
Great
Dream
advice.
big. There's no such thing as dreaming big. All right, you can never dream too big. All right, that's something too. Like, I've heard people like I'm getting really passionate about this. I have told people some things that I want to do, and they're like, "Wow, don't you think that's a little bit too much?" For you, yes. That's why it's not your dream. That's why it's my dream. It may be too much for you. So you see how that works?
Yep.
There it is. Yeah.
Great advice.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Denzell. I appreciate your time today, and best of luck with everything that you do.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to seeing your brother again.
Will do.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Good night, sir.
Thank you.